Hey everyone. Today was day one of changing my gender expression. As you can see, I'm just fairly femme right now. My hair is dead because it's been all day, and my makeup's a little gone because it's been all day. So maybe at some point I'll do one that's fresh, I guess you could say. Um, so what happened today? Um, I was gonna meet up with somebody, but they canceled. Um, I noticed that people did give a second glance at me, but I think the most profound thing that I noticed was my own behavior and my own thought process. So I, at the beginning of the day, was contemplating putting on sunglasses, and I decided not to. I don't know why that was. Um, I did notice that in the queer spaces in which I occupied, including a discussion group that I ran today, we were talking about labels, and students were talking about labels and whether or not that perpetuates um, any kind of divisiveness that occurs within the queer community, or if they are good things. And a lot of them were using the terms like hyper feminine or hyper femme. And it made me really self conscious because I felt like I was presenting in that way. And they weren't necessarily perpetuating stereotypes, but I just felt myself being very conscious of the space in which I was occupying and my presentation in it. Because many of the people that were there, I think I was one of maybe the only one that was wearing makeup, and it made me feel a little uncomfortable. And typically, when I occupy those spaces, I'm, presenting in a very plain, natural kind of way, as many of the students are. And so I thought that was really fascinating. Whereas I'm sure today I wasn't particularly, but I'm sure if I were in a so called straight space or heteronormative space, such as a bar or somewhere else, I think I would have felt like I maybe fit in even more, due to my gender expression of being more conformist and more acceptable, to social norms. And so I just thought that was really interesting how I felt uncomfortable in the spaces in which that caused me to typically feel more comfortable due to my own gender expression. Um, I did notice myself, I notice more often how I touch my face and how I can do things that doesn't necessarily mess up the makeup, like rub my eyes or just barely touch my face like this, and then notice that there's a little bit of sparkle or something on my fingers. And that made me feel weird because I felt like I can't move or I can't do XYZ because this has to stay perfect. And if it doesn't, then it'll look bad. Um, so that was interesting. Other than that, I felt like I had more power in some respects when talking to people because I felt that due to social expectations, I presented as more professional. And therefore, if I present as more professional, that equals that I have more authority in spaces and that what I say matters more. And I was predominantly in spaces to where I work with students regularly. I wasn't in any kind of formal meetings with colleagues or anything like that. So it was, in those spaces of which I'm with students, and typically I am the one in authority because I'm either the advisor or the supervisor, or mentor or some kind of role like that. I don't necessarily like to be the authoritative figure. I very much believe in a Freudian view of education and having a two-way street. But I did notice myself feeling that I was more empowered. Um, Other than that, not too much. I did read a really good quote that I think kind of resonated with me today. And it said, the right person will be the one to mess up your lipstick, but not the one to have your mascara run. And I thought that was really interesting, um, because I feel like some of those days you're going to have that. And um, I mean, that's very heteronormative and cisnormative, maybe even with that statement, but it just kind of shines some light on some things. And I thought that was interesting. Um, So anyways, so that's about it. That's all that happened today, and I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to be in actual meetings or not, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but I think I'm noticing way more coming from me internally than I am externally. So yeah, but I thank you all for following along and for listening. Um, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm very much so being conscious of my presentation. Maybe only because it's the first day. Maybe I'm going to feel like this for the next 29, but it's way more than what I typically am. And at least for today, it was actually more than what I typically am. My facial appearance and my presentation of femininity more than I am even with my weight. And and I think that was something too. I didn't notice myself responding in a feminine way to things, but I did notice that I felt it more internally. It could also be because my mom got me my nails done this past weekend too, so I'm being a little more careful about that and using my fingers. So, anyways, I hope you all have a good night, and thanks for listening in. Bye.